All right, guys, I know that I've been terrible about putting these vlogs out here lately, but I'm gonna get back into it. It was just, we got back from vacation and there's no excuses, but we're getting back to work. And the first project that we're gonna start out with is a bed. The past couple of days I've been designing a bed and a dining room table, and they're both for the flip house. I say it's a flip house, but I think we're actually going to be moving into it. The reason being is we've lost internet here. Long story short, we've got very poor internet here where we're at with Jamie's parents, and in the new house it does have cable high-speed internet. So we're thinking about moving into that just for the duration while we build our dream house. So rather than moving all of our furniture, we're going to use this as an opportunity to build some more furniture for the house, and when we sell it or rent it out, we'll figure out what we want to do with it. So the first thing that we're going to tackle today is a twin bed. It's going to have rolling storage underneath of it, essentially just 4 big boxes on small casters that roll out. I did this instead of sliders because, one, it's easier to build, but the main reason for us is that it's a very tight space to get upstairs, and trying to assemble it upstairs, I didn't want to have to do that or do any major assembly upstairs. So essentially we have a headboard, a footboard, the 2 side rails, the slats that cover that. There will be no box spring, so it'll just have the mattress on top of those slats, and then those 4 boxes will be independent of the bed itself. So we don't have a huge box with sliders and all that stuff that we have to get upstairs, because it's kind of it's just a tight space, like I said. So that's what we're going to start with today. And then I drew up a design for a small dining room table that sits 4 people, but it's a little bit narrower of a design because it's a tight space in our dining room there. So we just need as compact of a dining table as possible. So came up with a design for that. Hopefully we can get to that today. If not, then we're going to work on it tomorrow. So that's what we have in store for today. Follow along. Okay, so I grabbed a couple sheets of plywood from Home Depot, and let me show you what happened. So they did the cross cutting. Let's see if we can't focus here. They did the cross cutting for me, and there's quite a bit of tear out there. So we want to make sure that whenever you get anything cut down to size by Home Depot or any of the box stores, especially when they're cross cutting, you're going to want to leave at least 3/4, if not an inch, of just waste there that we can trim down as soon as we get it back and to the table saw. All right, with all the lumber cut down to size, it's time to move on to the assembly process. We're going to start by assembling the headboard and the footboard. Now these are pretty simple designs. It's just a plywood panel surrounded by a 2x4 frame and then capped with another 2x4. Okay, while Jamie assembles the headboard and the footboard, I'm going to go ahead and start putting together the storage boxes. These are essentially a 3/4 inch plywood box, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave off the front panel because we'll install that later. All right, so now I'm attaching the casters. These are 2-inch casters that we picked up at Home Depot. But we got the straight casters versus the swivel casters so that when you pull these drawers out, they come straight out and straight back in versus going all over the place. Okay, so we've got the headboard, the footboard, the side rails, everything is assembled and ready to go. As far as the side rails, we're actually going to use just 4 pocket holes in each end of the bed rails to go and attach to the headboard and the footboard. You could use some bed rail hardware, but we're just going to go with that just because it's cheaper and that's what we've got on hand. I'm leaving off the 2x2s for right now because once we do the final assembly and put everything together, then I'll install the 2x2s. That gives me access to those pocket holes, being able to attach the side rails to the headboard and the footboard. Before all of the final assembly, we are now going to head on out to paint all of this stuff with some sort of a white paint. I'm sure Jamie's got something picked out, but we're going to get all that done before the final assembly and we'll be right back.
All right. So since we're painting bare wood, the first step in the finishing process is to use the primer. We're using the Zinsser shellac based primer because it has excellent coverage and really seals the knots and makes sure they don't bleed through when you do your top coat.
Okay, so we have been very bad about making videos since we got back from our vacation in Florida. But like I said earlier, we are back to work. We got the bed finished up today and got a little bit of a start on the dining room table. We're just finishing up putting some primer on here now.
Smells great.
So this is a shellac-based primer by Zinsser, and it's meant to It's good for sealing bare wood, especially with knots and whatnot.
And we're painting it white,
yeah.
So we really want to seal the knots because it will look ugly.
They'll bleed through. Most of you have probably seen any of that. Anything knotty pine that has been painted, those knots will indeed bleed through over time. So that's one of the benefits of this. But I'm excited to see this bed come together. It's a pretty simple design, but it's going to be good for what we're using it for.
Yeah.
And
what are we using it for?
Madison. to store all of her stuff in that house.
Yeah, so, well.
She's got a small closet, and we need a place to put all of our other stuff. We don't want to move a dresser up there.
Have you said what we're even doing?
I think I mentioned something in the beginning of this episode.
Okay. Well, in case you missed it, we are moving into the flip house for a little bit.
I think we are.
We build? We might be. We might have to be. Well, for various reasons, but mostly high-speed internet has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, so long story short, for the longest time, we're using a grandfathered unlimited data plan from Verizon for our Wi-Fi, our home Wi-Fi, and we used a lot of data.
Like a lot of data.
Like a lot of data. Like
far too much data for one single family.
We were the problem, and I accept that, but that's what we had to do. We don't get internet out here. We can't even get, the best we could get was satellite, and satellite is terrible. They limit you and throttle you. Nevertheless, Verizon decided to crack down on all of the, what do they call us?
Excessive data users?
Extraordinary data users.
That's about right. We are pretty extraordinary.
So they gave us the boot. They sent us a letter and said, basically, in 30 days, you guys are done.
Yeah. Woo.
Unless you upgrade to one of these plans. So they've got the new unlimited plan, and we ended up having to roll into that, which basically means that after we use our first 20 gigs, which pretty much happens in the first day or two.
It happened in the first 2 hours. Yeah. Let's face that fact.
So once we use 20 gigs, then we get downgraded or prioritized down to 3G, which is normally pretty slow, but we have the setup that we've got going on. I've got an antenna on the side of the house that points right directly at the Verizon tower. it comes in, and then we broadcast that signal throughout our Wi-Fi network. So
It's not
it's
terribly
not terrible.
slow.
We're able to stream stuff, and it's about two megabits per second, I think.
Get out of here. I'm painting.
Go on, get your black hairs and get out of here.
Go away.
Ziggy, our black lab.
You're so obnoxious.
So,
They're just staring at
nevertheless, we're back up and running. We did have no internet for a couple days once we got home from our trip.
us. He's going to knock that camera down.
So, we're back up and running, but it's not
It's not great internet.
it's not great. So, the Flip House does have high-speed internet, so we're looking to move into that temporarily while we build our house. And the first thing that we're going to do is build our barn, and that would be where we run out of the business out of, where we build our projects. So this space will all be moved over to our barn,
Yeah.
which will be designed specifically for what we need. And yeah, and it's right around the corner.
Yeah, it's like a mile away from. Dogs are so entertaining.
Ziggy just taking a leak right there.
Oh, man. Anyway, it's like a mile away from the Flip House. So
Yeah.
it's pretty convenient.
To get back to what we were saying, we're going to
Brief interruption of the dog pee.
little rant. Anyway, so we're gonna move into the Flip House. That's the plan. That's what we're leaning towards anyway right now until we build, which hopefully will only be about 6 months or so, 6 to 9 months. But
I would say a year.
I hope it doesn't take a year.
I plan on a year. I plan like hopefully by Easter next year we'll be in it. That's my hope.
Yeah.
So we moved here Easter weekend a year ago. So maybe Easter weekend in a year from now we'll be in our new house.
Yeah.
That's my plan. Might not work out, but
Plus, it would be nice to have our own space again.
yeah.
We love Jamie's parents, but
Well, and
we agreed
They
to
really-
a year, and we
It's a
just
year.
crossed over that year mark.
I don't
so-
think that they minded at all though.
No.
I think no. They moved down, so they they moved down to the basement, and they weirdly enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't. I don't think that they want any more space at all. I think
Or
that
at least that's what
pretty
they
good
lead
for
us to
them.
believe.
I seriously don't think they're gonna move back upstairs when we leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
Okay, so
that
Jamie's
means-
going to finish up priming the bed, and then we're going to call it a day, and we'll get started tomorrow by painting this and building the dining room table. Nick, our videographer who is here today, is coming back over tomorrow as well to do some filming with us. So hopefully we'll have a vlog out today and tomorrow. That's the plan anyway.
Do the music now.
Do the music.
Yeah, how does it go? Oh. Yeah. Ooh. You know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That music.
The music.
Oh,